Over the lower house, women legislators are pushing for the passage of the proposed Bangsamoro Basic Law. Let's hear the full story from Freddie Abando.
Support for the passage of the draft Bangsamoro Basic Law is gaining support from the women legislators in the House. No less than Deputy Speaker Hanedina Abad is spearheading the move which will end the 42-year-old conflict in Mindanao, where women and children are the most vulnerable victims of the conflict. Families and communities have been displaced by the fighting for so long. Abad stressed the Bangsamoro Basic Law brings hope for healing for past injustices against our Muslim brothers.
The passage of the Bangsamoro Basic Law that is substantial in its provisions to put an end to oppression, subjugation, and promote self-determination is even more urgent now. If we turn our backs to supporting the BBL, is it not tantamount to the abandonment of innocent Muslim families in conflict areas who have paid dearly for the costs of war? By antagonizing the peace process, are we not in the same breath defeating the very cause of democratic freedom, which requires us to protect the liberty of every woman and man?
Abad said the quest for peace will address biases against our Muslim brothers. She cited the President's drive and determination to overcome all obstacles to win the peace.
If we are to restore our worth as human beings, it is only right that we not only fight for freedom against sexism, we must also work for peace and freedom from war, poverty, and the anti-Muslim sentiment. The road towards enduring peace, as you may well know, is littered with challenges of forbidding immensity. Despite these challenges, it is critical for us to work collectively in removing all legal, political, and social impediments to the humanization of every Filipino.
In the meantime, Budget Secretary Butchabad is confident the MILF will abide by the terms of the peace agreement signed with the government. Abad dismissed reports that the MILF will eventually pursue its fight to win independence from the Philippines in the future. Abad stressed the government will honor its commitments as embodied in the draft Bangsamoro Basic Law. One major item is the allocation of more resources to include the block grant at the Bangsamoro Development Program, which will enable areas covered by the new Bangsamoro entity to overcome decades of poverty, which has been the major cause for the rebellion.
They're not after seceding from the Philippine territory. They just want meaningful autonomy. And that is what we are trying to define and provide for in the BBL. What is meaningful autonomy?
Meantime, House Committee Chairman on Muslim Affairs, Congressman Tupay Loong, said the registration of voters in MILF-controlled areas is a major sign of their commitment to be partners of development. Loong said this shows that the MILF are preparing for the eventual creation of the Bangsamoro government.
The fact that they are now registering, they are asking their member to register, that is a sign of sincerity already. In other words, they recognize already the sovereign authority of the government. So for those who doesn't register, meaning they are not yet decided to come down and join the mainstream of our Philippine society.
For the People's Television Network, this is Freddie Abando reporting.